All right, so last week was a little bit of a challenging lesson, and I know you did well on it. So this week I kind of wanted to take it back just a little bit and just be a little calmer and do your fluency this week. So you can kind of see where I'm already going with this. Your fluency is rounding. I did not put any decimals in here. This is all whole number rounding, which means you just need to know your whole number place values, and that's okay. I've also underlined the place that we are rounding to. So if you remember, the rule for rounding is 5 and above, you rise above. 4 and below, let it go. Okay. So we are going to be rounding to the tens place in this one. The 6 is going to tell the tens place what to do. So the 6, if it falls under 5 and above, the 4 is going to rise above. Okay. So 6 is greater than 5. So the 6 is going to tell the 4 to go up to a 5. And the 6 is going to be replaced with a 0. So 46 rounded to the nearest 10 is 50. Moving on to 27. 7 tells the 2 what to do. Because the rule is 5 and above, rise above. The 7 is larger than 5. 7 is going to tell the 2 to rise above, go up to a 3, and it's going to be replaced with a 0. Okay. Now we make it a little challenging again. 6 is in the tens place. That is the place we are rounding to. The 1, not changing. It's staying the same. So I'm going to bring my 1 over right now. 8 tells the 6 what to do. 5 and above, rise above. Rising up to a 7, and then the 8 is being replaced with a 0. Okay, moving on down here. 6 is in the hundreds place. My 8 is going to tell my 6 what to do. The 8 tells the 6 to rise above. The 4 never changed. Bring it over. 6 turns into a 7, and my other 2 numbers get replaced by zeros. And I'm going to come on this side. My 2 is in the hundreds spot. The 1 tells the 2 what to do. So that falls under 4 and below, so we're going to let that 2 go. And it's going to stay the same. And the others are getting replaced with zeros. Moving on to the next one. The 1 tells the 4 what to do. 4 and below, let it go. I'm going to leave it alone, bring my 1 over because that wasn't used. My 4 stays as the same, and then I'm replacing the other 2 with zeros. Next one. 0 tells the 8 what to do. 4 and below, you're going to let it go. My 8 stays the same. Now, that doesn't look rounded, but it is. That we did the whole process. We followed the rules, and it stays the same. Okay. Now, you're looking at the next one. You're saying, okay, what do I do now? So the 9 tells the 9 to rise above. Well, what comes after 9? Well, 10. So if I make this a 10, I got to move it into the next place, all right? Can't have a 10 here either, so I got to move it into the next place, and that becomes a 1,000. So this is probably your most challenging problem of them all. So that is your rounding for this week. It is just plain rounding of whole numbers. It's good to practice, and you'll be using that later on in math as well. All right, see you in a little bit. You are given a telephone and asked to multiply all the numbers on the device's number pad. What will the answer be? All right, welcome back, guys. Okay, so we are still going to stick with the place value, but if you see, I've added decimals in addition to one of my whole numbers. We're going to look at standard form, expanded form, and word form. Now, I've already written all the problems in standard form, so we're just going to write them in expanded and word. Okay, so we're going to start with number 1. We have 3,781. So that is already in standard form, so I'm just going to write that next to it. So now we're going to write it in expanded form. So if you remember, expanded form means expanding it out by the place value. So we're going to start all the way to the left with my largest place, and we're going to work down. Okay, so you can do this 2 ways. I'm only going to show you one today. So my 3 is in the thousands place, and it is 3,000. So I'm going to add it to my next place, which is 700. And then my 8 is an 80 and 1. Now, how do I know that's correct? So if I actually added all of that up, it should equal to the original number, 3,781. Okay, so word form. When you are working on your word form, write it as you say it. So we're going to start with 3,000. 781. Now, if you heard me correctly, I never said the word and because and only represents a decimal. So 3,781. Okay, we're going to move into our next number. We have 863 and 1/10. So now it gets a little harder because we're adding on the decimals. So since this is already in standard form, I'm going to write it in expanded. Remember, you're expanding it out by the place. Starting all the way to the left, my 8 is in the hundreds place. So that's 800. 6 is in the tens. So that's 60. 3 is in the ones. That's 3. And now I can't forget my 1/10. So 1/10, remember, is a decimal. So you have to make sure you put your decimal. Okay. Let's move on to word form. 863 and 1/10. So 863 and 1/10. So remember, and represents the decimal. Okay, going on to number 3. 14 and 79 hundredths. So I'm going to do my expanding it out by the place. Start with my largest place. In this case, it's the 1 and the tenths. So it equals 10. I'm going to add it to the 4 ones. So now I'm moving on the other side of the decimal. So the 7 is in the tenths place. So decimal point 7. And I'm going to add it to the 9 and the hundredths. Where the hundredths place is 2 places over. So you have to make sure it's represented in 2 places. Word form. 14 and 79 hundredths. Okay. And decimal point 79 hundredths. So remember, have to make sure you have that place value on the end here. We're ending in the hundredths, so I made sure I wrote the hundredths. Now I've switched to have more spaces over here. 1 and 982 thousandths. So let's write it, expand it out by place value. The 1 is in the ones place. I'm going to add it to the 9 in the tenths. The 8 in the hundredths. And the 2 in the thousandths. Okay. So now we're going to write it out in word form. 1 and 982 thousandths. All right, and that's your review of standard form, word form, and expanded form. All right, I'll see you guys Wednesday. Bye.